Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead Wednesday. September 3rd. We were on a bad run, man. We're on one of the worst runs that I've had in quite a while here. It's tanking. I mean, we do have swings up and down. We're swingers over here when we do sports betting. Yesterday, if you caught my comment in the on the video yesterday, the Toronto and Cincinnati game wound up being a no play because I don't really specify this most of the time, but when you play a baseball game, you want to specify both these listed starters must start in almost every case because you're putting a lot on the starting pitching matchup. So in the case of Toronto-Cincinnati, Lodolo wound up getting scratched. I don't know if he's hurt or what, but he did not appear in the game. So if you bet it with those starters must start, then that would push. So it would be a no bet. So I counted that as nothing because I commented on it. I was like, oh, they scratched him. They basically went with a bullpen game. I was like, that's not going to be good. So let's take that. Yeah, like that's going to be a no play now. The other way to do it, of course, is if you specify action, it means that you're going to have action on the game regardless of who the starters are. But that's dangerous, and I would say that's a rare scenario. I've given out plays like that before, but it's uncommon. There are certain situations where you want to do it, but yeah, I mean, by default, you want to do starters must start. So just putting that out there. So that was a no play on that one. But the 3 plays that did happen yesterday went 1-2, so it was not good. Mets and Detroit. That one was looking okay. I mean, I think it was 2-1 into the 4th inning, and then just all hell broke loose, and the Mets scored a ton of runs in the top of the 4th, and that was basically it. Like that game, I think there were only maybe 2 or 3 innings in the entire game where any runs are scored, but when there were runs scored, there were a ton of runs scored. I think the Mets scored 5 in one inning and 6 in another inning. So, I mean, it almost had the makings, like it looked like it could have been an under game. It was just that, again, like all hell broke loose in the innings where stuff happened. Cleveland-Boston under was not even close. That was a loser. And then we did get the over in White Sox, Minnesota, as the bullpens helped us out in that one, as the game wasn't terribly high scoring for a while, but that one wound up still going over. We'll move on to today, man. I really, really hate the board today. I'm going to have one baseball playing. I'm not even sure how much I really love it. It's a starting pitching matchup. It's the calm before the storm today, man, because football begins. So we have the NFL starting tomorrow. I had my fantasy draft last night, and it seems like every single year I wind up with a bad wide receiver core, man, on my fantasy team. I don't know why that's the case. Just it seems like people overvalue receivers, and I just wind up not getting good receivers. I don't get it. Like, I'm usually pretty stacked at running back. This year I have a pretty solid quarterback and tight end, the way that the auction worked out, and my running backs are okay, but I just have like a ton of wide receivers, and none of them are really that good. So it's going to be a matter of like mixing and matching them and hoping I get good performances out of mediocre wide receivers for the most part. I don't love that. I really don't. I don't love my team, unfortunately. in my main league there. But anyway, NFL will start tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to have a play on tomorrow's game or not, but I will put it out there right now. I am considering the Dallas Cowboys plus the points, which it's well above 7.5 right now. So anywhere in that range between 7.5 and 9. I think that it's a teaser killer, really. The book's moving the number to 9. I'll talk about that more tomorrow, though, but the books will basically throw the number up to 9 from 7.5 just so that the recreational bettors and even the professionals can't tease it down to below 2.5 anymore because there's huge value in getting it below that key number of 3. So I think the books are teaser killing on that one. I don't think it's like an actual money move on the Eagles, if that makes sense. So I actually like the Cowboys plus the points in that game. Curtis, what's up, man? But I don't know if it'll be a play or not at this point. We will talk about it tomorrow, though. Today we have 2 WNBA games. The first one is somewhat interesting, LA at Atlanta. Both of these teams are fighting for playoff positioning, but in LA's case, they're actually still trying to make the playoffs because, interestingly, LA is the only team that's outside of the playoff structure right now that is not eliminated yet. So you have, I think, 3 teams are eliminated. There are 12 teams in the league. 8 teams make the playoffs, and LA is sitting at 9th right now, and they're only like 1 or 2 games out of that last spot, so which is the Indiana Fever right now. So LA, they're in desperation mode, man. And sometimes when a team is desperate and the pressure is still like a little bit off of them in a way because they're a big underdog, not expected to win this game. If they have like that amount of motivation and they're huge underdogs, sometimes that's the way you want to look. So maybe a slight lean to LA in this one. Atlanta, I mean, they're still playing for something, although they have a decent lead in the Eastern Conference, but they're playing for seeding right now in the playoffs. Like, they would like to get the 2 seed if they can, which I believe is definitely possible right now. So both teams do have something to play for. Atlanta's coming off beating a couple of doormats, basically, in Dallas and Connecticut. And they are returning home from Connecticut, but it was only a 1-game trip, so it's not really one of those long trips where you really get totally distracted. And LA is actually having to fly in from Seattle. I assume they had probably multiple days off here. I didn't look, but they are having to fly to the Eastern time zone, so a time zone shift could affect them a little bit negatively. And that was a big win for them over Seattle, too, a big upset. But they're going to have to continue to be focused because they're trying to make the playoffs. So do with that information what you will. And then we have a battle of 2 teams that are terrible, and they're both eliminated, Connecticut and Chicago. I don't even know how to approach this game at all, to be honest. Chicago's lost 4 games in a row. They are returning home from going to Phoenix and Seattle, so it is technically a return home spot where you might be somewhat distracted, especially playing a team that's not very good like Connecticut. Connecticut's leaving home, so it's a little bit of a better spot for them in a way because they get to just get out of home, and when that happens, you tend to just focus more on basketball after they were losing. The money's kind of come in on Chicago up from 1.5 to 2, and I'm not really sure I agree with that move. I would probably slightly lean to Connecticut, to be honest, in that game. But those teams are both out of it, so do with that information what you will, as I always say. And this is the breakdown segment, by the way. Well, we'll talk about baseball as I have a breakdown. Baseball, I'm only going to have 1 play today, man. You can see it is on a decent game that does have implications as far as playoffs are concerned. Toronto, Cincinnati. I think there is an angle to approach. There's an angle to use in that game. Miami at Washington. Washington, after breaking their long loss streak, I told you, man, that it could start this new momentum thing, and I liked Washington in both of these games, and they actually did win both of them. Maybe I should have given it out as a play. Although I hate Washington's bullpen, so. But Washington, they do have a big series against the Cubs up next, which that might be the type of series where a team that's done, like Washington, they're not going anywhere. Since they've already won this series, even though I know it's a divisional series, it is possible they start looking ahead to Chicago because that is going to be one of the types of series that maybe they'll get up for with nothing left to play for. Miami doesn't have a whole lot left to play for either, but they're trying to avoid a sweep here, man. I mean, they're trying to just avoid embarrassment here. They don't want to get swept by the last place team in the division, you know. So I think there is motivation there. Miami does have the better offense, I believe, and the better bullpen, and they rested. Miami has a lot of guys in their bullpen right now with September call-ups, but their bullpen is more rested. They used 1 reliever yesterday, and Washington used 4. So, Miami's in the better bullpen position by far. As far as the hitting is concerned, I believe Miami has the better offense as well. Yes, they do, as far as OPS. So Miami has advantages here, and I think they have the better starting pitcher as well in Yuri Perez. He's got a 4.04 ERA now in the season, which isn't that good. 1.04 whip is pretty good. He is worse on the road, though, so 5.49 ERA, that's concerning, and his most recent start is certainly concerning because he only went 2/3 of an inning, just really inexplicable, and gave up 5 earned runs to the Mets. I know the Mets have been hitting really well recently, but that and beating my unders. And I think I had an under in this game too, actually. It's just brutal. So I don't know what happened there, man, with Perez. I mean, he's obviously nowhere near as bad as that, but he hasn't been that good this past month. 5.6 ERA, 24-12 strikeout walk ratio. So he's not in terrific form right now. Failing to go 5 innings in 2 of his last 3 starts. That's not great. Although, I don't know what else to say about that. He was on a nice run before that, and he is a talented young pitcher. So does he bounce back here? He might, because Washington does not hit him well in the past. 25 at bats. It's a small sample, but 120 batting average, 434 OPS. So Perez might actually do better in this one. Mitchell Parker is pitching for Washington. He has not had a good season. 5.94 ERA, 1.47 whip. He's a little bit better at home, though. 5.35 ERA at home, which, did I say what Perez's road numbers were? I think they're both, I think I did. So the splits are actually in favor of Parker in this one, which is not great, which is why I'm staying off of this game. But Parker hasn't been good recently either. Although his last start was pretty good against Tampa, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 3 earned runs allowed, 6 1/3. But Washington's lost his last 6 starts. They've lost 8 of his last 9. He has a 20-11 strikeout walk ratio this month, 10.21 ERA, and 9 home runs allowed in the past month, I should say. That was in August. So he's not in good form right now either, man. Even though he did have a good start his last time out. His numbers are pretty good against Miami in 38 at-bats, 7-5 strikeout walk ratio. Both home runs that he's allowed were both by Augustin Ramirez. I don't know how you pronounce his name. 211 batting average allowed to Miami as a team. 697 OPS allowed to Miami's hitters. So, I mean, based on the matchup numbers, it almost seems like there is potentially an argument for an under here, but I would do it first 5 innings if I was going to do that, because the bullpens, you don't want any part of the bullpens, in my opinion. 71% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on the over, though, and the total did go up to 9. Money line did move up on Miami from -120 to -135. 88% of tickets and cash on them, though, so they are public. I do see the argument for Miami. Like I said, I think Perez, he is the better pitcher, so his ceiling is way higher against Perez. So if he actually pitches well, Miami should win this game. It should mean that Miami does have the edge, actually, in every one of the 3 facets of this game. They have the hitting, the bullpen, and the starting pitching. So playing Miami on the money line actually does still make sense to me in this game as well. That might actually be the best way to look at that game. Mets and Detroit. We're not going to try to play on this series again, man. Watch the game go under today, though. Detroit's on the verge of getting swept here, man. And the Mets, it is possible they look ahead, even though both of these teams need to win. But the Mets do need to win a little bit more, as I pointed out, because the Mets are trying to make sure they hold serve like in the wild card race. They want to make sure that they maintain a wild card spot. They're trying to catch up to Philadelphia. Detroit has a bit more padding in their division here, so Detroit can kind of afford to slack off a little bit. But I think in this case, Detroit's trying to avoid the sweep. Detroit's a good home team, man, so I think Detroit might come out with some intensity in this game. The Mets actually could be potentially looking ahead because they do have a big game, big series up next against Cincinnati over the weekend. So that's a series, obviously, with wild card implications there. So they may look ahead to that. Looking at this game as far as the bullpens are concerned, the Mets have the better bullpen right now, but it's pretty close in bullpen ERA. But the Mets, I believe, didn't use much of their bullpen yesterday. They used Herget as a long relief man. So they basically pretty much saved all the rest of their bullpen yesterday after they used most of it the day before that. So good job by the Mets and their bullpen management yesterday. Detroit used more of their pen. So it looks like Detroit's bullpen is in a little bit worse shape here. So the Mets do have a bullpen edge here. Mets have been hitting well recently, too. So the Mets have an offensive edge, too. They're actually back up to 4th in overall OPS in all of the major leagues. So they have a hitting edge as well here. So the Mets do have some edges here. Do they have the better starting pitcher? I would say they probably do, even though I don't like either of these starting pitchers that much. Clay Holmes is pitching for the Mets, 3.6 ERA, 1.31 whip is not that good. He's been a little bit better on the road, 3.36 road ERA. This past month, 4.32 ERA, 20-10 strikeout walk ratio. Very mediocre, but in his last 3 starts, he allowed 2 or fewer earned runs, so that's pretty good. Went at least 5 innings in all 3 of those starts. He's pitching okay recently. And up against Detroit, his numbers are also okay. In 33 at-bats, 14 strikeouts, 1 walk. That is pretty solid. 273 average allowed. 627 OPS is pretty low. They haven't really hit him for power. So Holmes does have decent numbers against the Mets. He's up against Casey Mize, who I think is overrated. I mean, I think both of these pitchers are overrated. I think Mize might be more overrated. They're actually pretty similar in that I think they're both overrated. They both have good ERAs and whips that would indicate that their ERAs should be worse. Mize, 3.95 ERA, 1.31 whip. He's good at home, though, 3.61 ERA at home. He's been better at home. This past month, pretty solid command numbers, 23-6 strikeout walk ratio, but he's allowed 5 home runs, and he has a 5.81 ERA over the past month. So he's allowed runs, even though his command numbers kind of indicate that he actually was pitching better than that. He's allowed 3 or more in runs in all but 1 of the starts, even though Detroit did go on a run of 5 wins in a row behind him, 4 this month before losing his most recent outing. But you might give him a pass for that. It was his worst outing of August, and it was at the A's Stadium. So it's a tough place to pitch. A very hitter-friendly ballpark. So Mize, he's also pitching okay right now, and his numbers are fairly good against the Mets. Small sample size, 27 at-bats, 5.4 strikeout walk ratio is not good, but 222 average, 693 OPS, that's pretty solid. So, I mean, again, it almost looks like there is the potential for an under in this game. Total drop from 9 to 8.5, although juice to the under to 8.5, 9 juice to the under to 8.5, juice to the over. Not a huge move, but we see the public coming in only on the over. I mean, it's been a high-scoring series. The public knows both of these teams can hit. 77% of tickets on the over, 52% of the cash, though, on the over. So it looks like the cash percentage is again on the under. And again, I wouldn't really disagree with that. And I think the bullpens are actually even maybe okay enough that maybe this game will be the one that goes under in the series, man. After 2 really high-scoring games, it would be crazy because I don't like either of these starting pitchers, but their matchup numbers are fairly good, so it is possible. And the money line moved on the Mets almost right away, up from plus 100 to minus 115. They have 51% of tickets for 51% of the cash on Detroit, but 51% to me doesn't mean a whole lot. I think the money line move is kind of the better indicator as far as how I read what's going on in the market here. So I think the Mets are actually the team that's getting the money again. Again, they do have a little bit more to play for here. I think it's kind of the same type of handicap that it has been throughout the series. That, and I think Holmes is actually probably the preferred pitcher over Mize, and the Mets do have a bullpen edge and a hitting edge here. So things to keep in mind there. So maybe a slight lean to the Mets again there. Alex, what's up, man? Thank you, sir. It's like somewhere in between. So like I've been actually putting my money on this for 19 years almost now. But it was like sort of I was doing it like semi-professional. Like I was betting it so that I was betting to win $300 per bet basically. And I actually won. I started doing this in 2008 basically. Or 2007, 2008, somewhere in that range. And I actually won every single year except 2015 until last year when I had a losing year. This year is going to be a losing year too, man. I mean, you have bad swings, man. I'm telling you, I'm on a bad run right now. My baseball is usually good. So I'm frustrated by it. I can't tell you exactly what's going on right now. Although as I've clarified, I have not been putting my money on these bets basically since I lost my job, my actual job, because it's like I just can't totally fund it right now because most of my money is not liquid right now. So I just can't really, I don't have enough of a bankroll to do it right now. So it's somewhere in between the two, if that makes sense. I appreciate that you like my analysis, man. I mean, I think it should pay out in the long run, man. Like I said, I mean, you do have these really, really bad stretches sometimes, though. It's kind of the nature of the game. Then you have real hot streaks as well. So I mean, it pisses me off. It is just the way that it is, though. WNBA, I mean, I just haven't seen a very good angle in the WNBA for a while, but there will be some when the playoffs start, I would have to imagine. So there probably will be more WNBA picks that I'm going to give out here. Baseball. I mean, I don't know how many days you've been listening to me, but we're on a bad run over the past week or so, and I was pretty hot in baseball for a little while prior to that too, and I hate it, man, because it almost gets erased. But for the most part, the whole time I've been doing this, it's been like, I mean, it's a game, man, where you have to win like 53% of your bets, essentially, in that range somewhere, and you're making bets like this. And over the long run, it does profit, and it has for me in the long term. But unfortunately, it's like me. It's almost like me doing this show like messes with my head, or like I don't even know what the deal is here, but like. I've been doing this show since 2023, mid-2023, and I was great in 2023, and people were able to ride that for like the rest of the year. That was awesome. Last year wasn't very good, although it was a slight losing year, and then this year's been bad too, so I don't know what the fuck is going on. Just extremely frustrating to me, man. And I will point out, NBA has been my best sport over the entire time. For whatever reason, NBA, I'm really good at NBA for whatever reason. NBA playoffs especially. Then baseball, though, has been my second best sport in the long term. So it's kind of ridiculous what's been going on. And then NHL has actually been my third best over the long term. And then probably NFL. And then it's been like the college sports have really fucked with me. College basketball was horrendous this past year. It was really, really good. Like 2 years ago, college basketball was unbelievably good. So it's like, how can you have huge swings like this? I mean, again, it's the way that it is, but it's crazy, man. And then college football, I was really good in college football last year. And as you've seen, I was terrible in week one in college football. So, I mean, week one is difficult. Week one is not my best week ever in the footballs, but even so, so I think it is going to get better. I mean, I just got to basically have faith in that you know what you're doing, like you know how to read the market, you know how to analyze this shit, and long term it should pay out. Curtis, thank you for putting positive vibes out there. It's not exactly what I do as the suicidal bettor that I am here. Texas at Arizona. These teams have split the first two games of the series. Arizona, I mean, they don't really have a whole lot left to play for as they're out of it. But I think this is the type of series that they're going to kind of show up for because they're playing against a team that is fighting to make the playoffs, which Texas is. But that does mean Texas has motivation. However, Texas is they just lost a 6-game win streak. So I always say sometimes when you lose a long win streak like that, it can hang you over into the next game. You can essentially lose the game twice. So that is a factor there. So Texas may be in a little bit of a difficult spot for that reason. Texas absolutely has the better bullpen. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona used 2, but Texas definitely has the better bullpen. Arizona has the better offense. This is a matchup that's really pitching versus hitting. Texas has the better pitching. Arizona has the better hitting. But the starting pitching matchup, you could debate that it's in favor of Arizona here. Jack Leiter is pitching for Texas. 3.77 ERA, 1.31 whip on the season, so his whip is a little bit high. He is worse on the road, 4.61 road ERA. He was really good in his last 2 starts with a 17-2 strikeout walk ratio, picked up wins in both outings, including one at the A's stadium, which again is a very difficult stadium to pitch in. He only allowed 2 runs combined across those 13 innings, both against the A's. So he's in really good form across those last 2 starts. Although in August, he did walk too many guys. He had 14 walks and 35 strikeouts in 29 to third innings. Leiter, I mean, he's a power pitcher, man, unlike his father, Al Leiter, who was more of a location guy, an off-speed guy. Jack Leiter throws hard fastballs. He's way too wild at times. Did have a 2.76 ERA in August, though. Up against Arizona, only 15 at-bats, so it's not a huge sample size there. Alexander does have a home run off him. They have 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 267 average, 886 OPS. So his OPS that he's allowed to Arizona is fairly high. And I actually think I might trust Zach Gallen out of these 2 starters a little bit more, man, for Arizona. He's having not a very good season. 4.94 ERA, 1.30 whip. Not great. He's a little bit worse at home, 5.2 ERA, but he's been starting to pitch better, man. As I've been saying, his career numbers indicate that, like, this has been kind of an outlier of a bad season for him. Like, he's not usually this bad. Over the past month, though, he does have a 2.57 ERA, 28 to 9 strikeout walk ratio, and he allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. Went 6 innings in all but one of those outings, although it was against Texas, the one where he only went 5 innings. So yeah, his worst start over the past month was actually against this Texas team, and he only struck out 1, and had 2 walks. So that's interesting. He didn't do that well. His numbers against Texas overall are dominant, though. 97 at-bats, 32 to 7 strikeout walk ratio, 165 average allowed, 489 OPS. So Gallen actually does dominate them. I would have a slight lean to Texas in this, to Arizona in this game, but I would probably limit it to the first 5 innings because Texas does have a big bullpen advantage. Arizona's down from minus 135 to minus 125. They got 56% of the cash on them, though. 67% of tickets on Texas. Public kind of coming in on Texas because they have the better record, and they're the underdog here. So I think the public perceives value on Texas there. And because Texas is in a spot where they need to win to try to make the playoffs. So sometimes that means you won't really necessarily get value on that team. But I think if you're going to play Arizona, you do it in the first 5 innings because on the money line, because the bullpen, again, Texas has a much better bullpen. The under is getting money, and the under kind of makes sense to me as well here because both pitchers are actually pitching pretty well right now over the last couple of starts, and they have good matchup numbers, so an under makes sense as well. If you go full game, you got to worry about Arizona's bullpen, though. So, I mean, you could go first 5 innings with it. If you go full game, you get under a key number of 9, though, paying a little bit of extra juice. So you might want to do that. 52% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the under. So, yeah, generally I do agree with the under in that game as well. But it's a little bit difficult to do it at Chase Field because it is a hitter-friendly ballpark. Baltimore at San Diego. San Diego, even though they're much better at home than they are on the road, they're on the verge of getting swept by a pretty bad Baltimore team, so that would be pretty embarrassing. But San Diego did face 2 pretty solid starters for Baltimore that they weren't that familiar with. I think they faced Wells and Bradish, so they didn't get some of Baltimore's worst starters, and their starter that they're facing today is a little bit worse than that. San Diego, I think they're going to come out motivated here, man. They're good at home. They're behind in the division by 2.5. So they're still fighting for the division. They're still fighting for a wild card spot as well. Trying to make the playoffs any way that they can here, of course. Trying to break this losing momentum that they have here. But again, this still might be a starting pitching matchup where maybe they won't quite do that well, which I'll show that in a minute, even though I don't think Baltimore's starter is particularly good. San Diego used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Remember, Adam got injured the day before that. So San Diego, they tend to use a lot of their relief pitchers per game. They just have so many good relief pitchers. So their bullpen, I mean, it's still in good shape. They're still the better of the 2 bullpens. Baltimore has the better offense. Baltimore did use 4 of their relievers yesterday as well. Baltimore, basically their advantage they have in the game is the offense. But they might have a familiarity advantage against the starting pitcher, which is why maybe Baltimore might actually be able to pull off a sweep here potentially. But Cade Povich is pitching for Baltimore, and he hasn't been that good. He's still young with some upside, but 5.04 ERA, 1.43 whip this year. He's been better on the road, though. 3.86 ERA on the road. This past month, 32 to 9 strikeout walk ratio. That's pretty solid. pretty good strikeout rate. 4.78 ERA wasn't that good, though, and he wasn't really going too deep into games, and Baltimore lost all 5 starts that he had in August. But some of that was because they couldn't hit in some of those games. San Diego only has 6 at-bats across only 2 batters against Povich. They're only 1 for 6 with 2 strikeouts, no walks. So Povich is unfamiliar to San Diego, so it is possible that he has a little bit of an advantage there because they're going to have to figure him out while they're trying to hit him. Nestor Cortez is pitching for San Diego, and we know that Baltimore's at least somewhat familiar with him because he was on the Yankees for a bit. His numbers are not really good this year, but it's in a small sample size because he just came back from injury not that long ago. He's got a 5.06 ERA, 1.44 whip. He's been way better at home, though. I mean, it's a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. 2.04 ERA at home. Yeah, I got that right. Over the past month, which is when he was acquired by San Diego, he came back in August. Had a 3.75 ERA, which is pretty solid. Allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start, although that 1 start was at home against a pretty bad San Francisco lineup. So interesting. He didn't pitch well against a bad offense there, and then he followed that up with a 6-inning shutout against the Dodgers, also at home. But he had a 19-10 strikeout walk ratio over the month, which is not a good ratio. I mean, it's definitely too many walks. So not everything looks great for Cortez here. Baltimore is familiar with him. Like I said, they have 68 career at-bats against him, but he has done well against them. 27-7 strikeout walk ratio, 191 batting average allowed, 575 OPS. And by the way, my play that I have here is going to involve an offense being familiar with a pitcher that used to be in their division, by the way, but it's not this game. Cortez does actually have the better matchup numbers here, so... And San Diego, I mean, they got to come out motivated here as well. So the motivational aspect of this worries me as well. But San Diego is public. They're sitting at minus 158 on the money line. 90% of tickets, only 74% of the cash. So it looks like the cash percentage is fading San Diego here and coming in on Baltimore again at that price, which I wouldn't disagree with it. If you're going to go with Baltimore, I think you got to do it in the first 5 innings, though, because their bullpen is at a disadvantage. The under is taking money, and I wouldn't really disagree with that either. It flipped from 8.5 juice to the over to 8.5 juice to the under. 92% of tickets on the over, 83% of the cash on the over. Between the fact that Povich is unfamiliar to San Diego and Cortez does, in fact, have good numbers against Baltimore, and it's a pitcher-friendly park. You got one good bullpen at least. I could see that game going under. You could try to do it under first 5 innings as well. So it's interesting. It's not a game that I would want to have my money on, though, personally. But those are the ways that I probably would look at that game. I mean, basically, I'm just reading the market when it comes down to it, because when you have a game with a lot of conflicting factors, like sometimes I'll just use what's going on in the market as kind of the clincher, because the guys that are putting their own money on it, the professionals that are putting big money on it, there's a reason why they're putting big money on something, and they probably know more than you do in a lot of cases. So that's what I'm, that's why the market read is fairly significant. Dodgers at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh actually won the first game of the series yesterday, even though they were returning from a road trip. Pittsburgh, of course, doesn't have anything to play for, except, this is the type of game they're probably going to get up for, though, with the Dodgers playing in their home stadium. Pittsburgh will get up for a game like this. But the Dodgers, after getting punched in the mouth yesterday, and the fact that they need to continue to win their division, they're probably going to show up as well. Pittsburgh actually has the better bullpen of the two. The Dodgers bullpen is not very good. Pittsburgh's is slightly better. Dodgers also used more relief pitchers yesterday, 5 compared to 3. So Dodgers bullpen not in great shape, and they might have to use their bullpen for a decent amount in this game, because Shohei Ohtani is going to start for the Dodgers here. They are ramping up his pitch count, though. He did go 5 innings in his most recent start for the first time. Because remember, he hadn't pitched before this year for like a couple of years. He's been okay pitching this year, 4.18 ERA, 1.21 whip. Of course, he's pitching and I believe hitting in the same game, if I'm not mistaken. I think because even though the NL has a DH now, I think you're allowed to just have the pitcher in your lineup and not have a DH. Ohtani hasn't been good on the road, though. 6.06 ERA on the road. He did go 5 innings last time out, like I said, after 2 bad starts in a row on the road against Anaheim and Colorado. But granted, Colorado, Coors Field, it's a difficult environment sometimes. high elevation. The balls fly out of that ballpark, although he didn't allow any home runs in that one. He got hit hard. Anaheim, they have a decent offense. Did shut down the Reds, though, in his first 5 innings start. He had 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run allowed on a solo homer. So Ohtani did do better again in that last start. Overall, he wasn't great ERA-wise in August, 5.71 ERA, but he had good command numbers, really high strikeout rate, 27 strikeouts in 17 and third innings, 2 walks. So his command numbers kind of indicate that he was pitching better than his ERA would tell you. His numbers are not good against Pittsburgh, but only 4 of their hitters have faced him before. They only have 11 at-bats off him, but they do have 2 home runs, both from Henry Davis. So Davis is like Ohtani's kryptonite, apparently. He turns into Ohtani with the bat when he faces Ohtani. Overall, Pittsburgh has a 364 batting average, 1,273 OPS, 3 strikeouts, no walks, but those numbers are basically all because Davis has lit him up in that short sample size. So I'm not ready to say that Ohtani is not going to pitch well here. I mean, Pittsburgh's offense is still bad. Half of their lineup still has never faced him before. Dodgers obviously have the way better offense still here. Braxton Ashcraft is pitching for Pittsburgh. He's been pretty good this year, 2.58 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's mostly been a reliever, but he's joined the starting rotation recently. His ERA is a little bit worse at home, 3.13, but that's still pretty good. In August, he was good between relief appearances and starting appearances, 25-3 strikeout walk ratio, 3.09 ERA, and it didn't really change when he started starting. He has had 3 pretty good starts in a row, allowing 1 or fewer earned runs in all 3, going at least 5 innings in all 3. He's not a guy that's going out there throwing a ton of pitches, but he's very efficient, doesn't put a lot of guys on base, so he is pitching pretty well. And the Dodgers have actually never faced him before, so Ashcraft, he's out there getting the job done, man, and the Dodgers having not faced him before, I think that a first 5 inning under is probably the way to look at this. I know yesterday I liked the under as well, and it did not happen, but total's already dropped from 8.5 to 8. A slight move there, but 76% tickets on the over, 60% of the cash on the under. I do think the under first 5 is the best way to look at this game and avoid the bullpens, especially the Dodgers bullpen. Just go with both these starting pitchers. Plus, you don't know how long Ohtani's going to last, but he'll probably get you at least most of the way to 5 innings. And same with Ashcraft. You're looking at 2 starters that are probably going to go almost exactly 5 innings in this one. So the first 5 inning under does make a lot of sense to me in this game. The Dodgers are up to minus 171 as the money line favorite on the road. 88% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. They're public. I mean, I don't really see much value in playing the Dodgers. Probably no value in playing them. I mean, it's the Dodgers. You know you're going to be charged a tax for playing the Dodgers on the road, and there's probably an extra tax with Ohtani pitching as well. Toronto-Cincinnati will be my only best bet of the day, so we'll skip that for now. Cleveland-Boston, unfortunately, went way over the total yesterday, making me look like a moron. Red Sox on the verge of a sweep here in this series. They've won 3 games in a row. Red Sox are in a heated battle right now where they could potentially still win the division. They're fighting against the Yankees and Toronto here. They have a day off tomorrow, and then they start a road trip against Arizona. So will they overlook Cleveland in this last game? They might. I mean, Red Sox have had the upper hand in the series here, and we know the Red Sox have the much better offense, way better offense than Cleveland does. Red Sox offense is particularly good in Fenway Park as well. The Red Sox have the better bullpen as well, although that advantage is more slight. Cleveland's bullpen is pretty good. You can see both bullpens are actually in the top 6 in ERA on the season. And then starting pitching, though, this is an interesting one, man, where you basically have 2 pretty untrustworthy pitchers listed as the starters here. And the Red Sox starter isn't even a starter. He's an opener. Cleveland's starter is Joey Cantillo, who he at least kind of goes out there and gives you like a starter's workload. He's kind of a converted reliever. He's been mediocre this year, 3.93 ERA, 1.42 whip. He's better on the road, 3.28 ERA on the road. I think they sent him down to the minors in mid-August, and now September call-ups, they brought him back up. I mean, I think he is worth a roster spot on the Major League roster. I mean, he's not that bad. Hold on a second. Is over the past month, 17-8 strikeout walk ratio, and it's 3 starts in August. They were all starts. He went at least 5 innings in all of them. 17-8 strikeout walk ratio wasn't exactly that great. Too many walks. But he pitched okay. He allowed 1 earned run apiece in his last 2 outings. But Boston is a better offense than those 3 offenses that he faced: Atlanta, White Sox, and Minnesota. So he is having to step up in class. Basically, his recent appearances where he's had a starter's workload, he's pretty much faced all weak offenses. White Sox twice, Baltimore, Kansas City, Minnesota, Atlanta. Last time he faced a good offense or decent offense was Houston on the road, and he didn't do particularly well that outing. Back on July 8th, 4 innings pitched, 3 earned runs allowed. So I don't know if he's actually going to do well in this game, man. There's certainly a chance the Red Sox could hit him. Red Sox have seen some of him. I mean, most of the Red Sox hitters have at least faced him before, but they only have 9 at-bats against him, and they haven't really done well. 2 strikeouts, no walks, 222 average, 867 OPS is a bit high. I mean, they do have a home run from Rafaela in the mix there against him. Overall, I mean, I'm not totally sold on Cantillo. I mean, he walks too many guys still. His whip is too high. But the Red Sox have Brennan Bernardino listed as their starter. He's only going to go like 1 inning, maybe 2. He's a relief pitcher. He's an opener. He actually pitched yesterday. So you know you're not going to get a whole lot out of him here. He's probably going to give you 1 inning as an opener. And the Red Sox basically are going with a bullpen game. And the Red Sox almost never do bullpen games, but they actually did one not too long ago with Bernardino. He does have good numbers this season for the most part: 3.08 ERA, 1.25 whip, and he is a little bit worse at home, but 3.25 ERA is not exactly bad. He just faced Cleveland again because he pitched yesterday. He pitched 1 inning, and it was just a clean inning with literally no stats. He didn't strike anybody out, nor did he put anybody on base. So he had a good inning yesterday against Cleveland. Doesn't really matter, though. I don't even know which one of these appearances was his opener, by the way. I think it was against Baltimore on August 25th. I think it was the game that he had an opener. He went 1 inning in that one, gave up 1 hit and had 2 strikeouts, no walks. So it was a clean inning for him there pretty much as well. So, again, you're going to get probably 1 inning out of him here, and then the Red Sox will turn over to the bullpen. So overanalyzing, I mean, yeah, you don't want to overanalyze Bernardino, his role in this game, although he does have good numbers against Cleveland: 16 at-bats, 6.4 strikeout walk ratio is not good, but a 125 average, 425 OPS. But you know you're getting a Red Sox bullpen game here, and yes, the bullpen is good, and they are fairly well rested, and we're in September call-up mode now. The Red Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, including Bernardino, so some of the other guys are still available here. Red Sox also are no stranger to using certain relievers multiple days in a row. Cleveland used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, and they used some of their better-ish relievers yesterday too. So Cleveland's bullpen, their better leverage bullpen arms aren't really available in this one. So all that being said, I actually probably lean to an over in this game, and that's where the money is coming in. I know yesterday I thought the complete opposite and it went over, so you know that means this one's going to go under, right? But Cleveland the total is up to 9 with more heavy juice on the over. If you play the over here, you want to try to get it over 9 and not 9.5, man, because the key number is 9. It's how you break a 4-4 tie. We have 69% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over here. Red Sox have moved up from -132 to -145 on the money line. 87% of tickets, 99% of the cash on them, which I don't buy that number. But Red Sox appear to have the money coming in on them, but I prefer the over in that game. And, obviously, it would be full game. I mean, not factoring in the bullpens doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you know the Red Sox are going with a bullpen game. And Cleveland, you're probably only going to get like 5 innings out of their starter at most only, but he's probably not going to go further than 5 innings, let's say. Seattle at Tampa Bay. We know this stadium, man, Steinbrenner Field, Tampa Bay's temporary home in the Yankees spring training stadium. It's a very hitter-friendly park, and that can affect these Seattle pitchers because these Seattle pitchers are really used to pitching in one of the most pitcher-friendly parks in Seattle, and they're all worse on the road, and that's kind of reared its head in this series as Tampa's won both games in the series so far. Tampa's on a 5-game win streak, even though Tampa, while not mathematically eliminated, and they are at 500 now, so they are playing with some motivation here. They have a good team coming into their house here, but Tampa, they're pretty much out of it, so Seattle does technically have more to play for here. Seattle they're fading, man. Like, they're still trying to battle for the division. They're trying to battle just to make a wild card spot here. So I do think Seattle does have more motivation here. They're trying to avoid a sweep here as well. Tampa Bay, don't know if they're going to be looking ahead or not. Let me see. I looked earlier. I'm like, oh, they don't have anybody yet. They have Cleveland up next starting tomorrow, so I don't think that's really cause for a look ahead. Both teams have decent bullpens here. Seattle has the better offense. I think Tampa has the better bullpen out of the two, but Tampa used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday, 5 relief pitchers. Again, it is September, so you have more bullpen arms to work with, but that's still a lot of relievers. Seattle did also use 5. Well, they used a couple of them for very few pitches, so those guys might be available again here. But generally, I think Seattle has the offensive edge and Tampa has the bullpen edge in general, but it is actually fairly close. I think, although Tampa's a top 10 bullpen ERA-wise, where's Seattle, actually? Yeah, they're 12th, so actually they're pretty close. And then Seattle, as far as their offense is concerned, yeah, they're actually pretty close as well. 12th versus Tampa being 14th OPS-wise now. Starting pitching, generally I would say Seattle's starting pitcher is the better one, George Kirby, but he's really bad on the road. So I'm not so sure about that here. His numbers are good on the season, 3.94 ERA, 1.16 whip. Again, he's not as good on the road. Not really bad, but 4.73 ERA on the road is not good. His worst start over August was actually at home, surprisingly. Against the Mets, he got lit up for 7 runs. But if you exclude that game, he allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every start in August. Besides that, in the 2 starts to end July as well. So 6 of his last 7 starts, he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs. So he is in good form right now. 3.52 ERA over August, 29-8 strikeout walk ratio. He's been in good form over the past couple months, man. So Kirby is pitching well. But again, this is a difficult stadium to pitch in. He does have good numbers against Tampa. It's a small sample size, but they're only 3 for 27 off him. 1 extra base hit, a double from Diaz, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. It's a 111 average and 321 OPS. So he does do well against Tampa in that sample size. Adrian Hauser pitching for Tampa. Good ERA on the season, 2.85, which includes spending a lot of the season with the White Sox, where he was pitching pretty well for the White Sox, man, but hasn't been as good with Tampa. I thought he was pitching a little bit over his head with the White Sox, like he was overperforming a bit, facing a lot of bad offenses in the mix there. He's got a 1.33 ERA, so that indicates that his ERA is 1.33 whip, excuse me. So that indicates that his ERA is a bit misleading. He is better at home, 2.08 ERA at home, but that was all basically with the White Sox. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a good day at work, Curtis. Meetings suck, by the way. Put your headphones in. Sneak a listen. All right, man. Have a good day. But yeah, with Tampa, Hauser hasn't been as good. He's only made 1 start in this stadium. And, you know, pitchers might have difficulty adapting to a stadium like this, man, because, again, it's a spring training stadium where the walls are really close, so it's a very hitter-friendly ballpark, and he didn't do well in his 1 start against St. Louis here. He gave up 4 runs in 6 1/3, 1 home run, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Generally, he just hasn't been that good with Tampa, which has been the entirety of his August performance. 19-9 strikeout walk ratio, 4.85 ERA, so not great. Up against Seattle, he doesn't have very good numbers either. 72 at-bats, 10-9 strikeout walk ratio is really bad. 278 average allowed, 894 OPS, also not good. So, I mean, I could definitely see some arguments for Seattle in this game because of the motivation. I mean, I think Kirby is the better pitcher over Tampa. If you do Seattle, maybe you go first 5 innings with it instead and avoid the bullpen situation there. But we see Seattle's public, 70% of tickets on Seattle. We know the Seattle team with the better record, so the public will be coming out and playing Seattle here. The money is coming in on Tampa, though. 59% of the cash on Tampa. Tampa's been one of the teams that gets a lot of the professional money recently. I think part of it is that Tampa has a pretty good run differential. Like, they're like plus at least 30-something in runs this year. That's runs scored versus runs allowed. So the run differential is actually better than the record is. I mean, they play in a tough division, man. It's just, that's the way that it is. Tampa's a decent team. So that's part of the reason why I think the money's coming in on Tampa. I could see an argument for Seattle with the starting pitching matchup, though, in the first 5, but I think I actually prefer an over in this game. We see 56% of tickets, 57% cash on the over. Totals flipped to 8.5 juice to the over. I know Kirby has the good matchup numbers, but he is worse on the road. And I think both of these pitchers, not really used to pitching in this stadium, could struggle a bit. And both teams have decent offenses here. So, again, I think it's maybe a product of the stadium here. Hauser, both pitchers are not necessarily as good as they look with their ERA in this particular spot. Like, Kirby is good, but people probably don't realize that he's not that good on the road, and he might struggle in this particular stadium. Hauser, his ERA makes him look way better than he actually is. So that's why I think maybe Seattle first 5 innings and the over might be ways to look at that game. Anaheim at Kansas City. Kansas City lost yesterday, which was interesting because I had pointed out that I kind of liked Kansas City because it looked like Anaheim was going with a bullpen game. We know their bullpen stinks. And Lorenzen did pitch pretty well for Kansas City, but the thing was that Anaheim actually decided to call up Ferris. I forget what his name is. Mitch Ferris, excuse me. Mitch Ferris made his major league debut, and he actually did well. He was facing a pretty bad lineup with the Royals here, but if I had known that at the time, I would have been considering an under in this game because you had Lorenzen, who had been pitching a little bit better, has good numbers against Anaheim, up against a guy making his major league debut against a bad offense, so unfamiliarity there. I probably would have been looking towards an under, maybe at least in the first 5 innings, which did happen. There was only 1 run scored across the entirety of the first 5, and then Anaheim actually wound up winning the bullpen battle, which is not what you would expect because Kansas City has the better bullpen here. Anaheim has the better offense here. As far as the bullpen usage, we kind of just saw it when I just looked at the box score. 4 relievers for Anaheim, only 2 for Kansas City. So Kansas City, their bullpen is in the better rest situation as well. Anaheim is Caden Dana making the start here. He's really, really young. He's 21, and there's a possibility that he's good and has high upside here. I don't know a whole lot about him. I think before his first start, I think I kind of analyzed who he was, but I forget what the analysis was. But just looking at what he's done so far, he's made 2 starts, 1 in April and 1 in May, and he hasn't been to the majors since then. They called him back up for September. I haven't looked at what he was doing in the minors since then because I was just not going to play this game. But you want to take a look and see what his minor league numbers were because there's a reason why they called him up, even though we know Anaheim's out of it. Kansas City is still fighting potentially to try to make the playoffs here. So Kansas City does have more motivation here, and they did lose yesterday, so they might be in a little bit of a bounce-back scenario here. But Dana, there is a possibility that he is actually better than he looks. His numbers haven't been good so far. He went 3 innings in each of his starts so far at the major league level, had 6 strikeouts, 5 walks, and he didn't face good offenses, Cleveland and Miami, but Kansas City's not a good offense either. But overall, 7.5 ERA, 2 whip. He wasn't good so far, but that doesn't mean that he isn't good. It just means that he's not used to pitching in the majors yet. They're growing pains, whatever. Of course, Kansas City has never seen him before, so he does have that edge of being unfamiliar to Kansas City here. Don't know if we can fully trust him, though, because he hasn't really shown the ability at the major league level yet. Ryan Bergere is pitching for Kansas City. He's a guy that got right around the trade deadline, I presume, from San Diego. He's got good numbers on the season, 2.67 ERA, 1.11 whip. A little bit worse at home, 3.5 ERA, which is interesting because both of his teams that he's been with have good pitching parks, San Diego and Kansas City. This past month, he's been pretty good, 25-8 strikeout walk ratio. This was all with Kansas City, 2.54 ERA. He allowed 2 or fewer earned runs, 2 or 1 specifically, in every single outing. He's in pretty good form right now. I'm not sure that he's a huge strikeout pitcher necessarily, but he is pitching pretty well right now. He's in good form, and Anaheim has barely seen him before. Only Peraza has ever seen him before, and he's 0 for 2 off him. So he's got an unfamiliarity edge as well here, so it is interesting. I would have a slight lean to Kansas City in this game, but the money is disagreeing with that. I think they have the bullpen edge. I think I trust their starting pitcher more. So Anaheim, really their edge is their offense, but I like pitching over offense. Kansas City down from -171 to -168, 96% of tickets on them, only 84% of the cash. So I kind of hesitate, and it's a huge price on Kansas City. I think that's part of the reason why the money's coming in against Kansas City. I think you're paying a tax for them just based on what the starting pitchers' ERAs are and the fact that Kansas City needs to win. But then again, Anaheim, I keep saying, is worse than the record even looks. Anaheim has a very bad run differential, like somewhere I think in the negative 40s right now, which is like bottom 5 in all of baseball. So something to keep in mind there. But I don't think you can really lay a price like this with Kansas City because their games tend to be close. They don't score a lot, which is also the problem with laying a run line with Kansas City, and they might not bat in the 9th inning. So very difficult to do that too. There is the possibility of an under, and maybe you want to look at it first 5 innings because you do have 2 starting pitchers that are unfamiliar, and maybe Dana will start doing better here. I mean, it is definitely a risk because he hasn't been that good. I'm more comfortable with Bettr. So you could go even more like crazy and you could go Anaheim under their team total in the full game between Bettr and Kansas City's bullpen. They might be able to get the job done there. The total's high at 9. And to me, a game in Kauffman Stadium with a weak offense here with Kansas City with decent pitching here, that seems like the total is too high to me, though, in general. So, some ways to maybe think about that game. Atlanta at the Cubs. Cubs are they're fighting, man. They're trying to make the playoffs here. Potentially trying to catch up in their division, at least trying to make a wild card spot. They have won 4 of their last 5, and they're on the verge of potentially sweeping Atlanta, though I actually think they play tomorrow, too, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, I'm wrong. They don't. They have tomorrow off. For some reason, I thought this was a 4-game series. So the Cubs are on the verge of a sweep. Atlanta, I mean, they're likely to show up in games like this. They're playing at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. I know Atlanta's out of it, but Atlanta is still better than their record looks, man. I mean, their run differential is still indicative that they're a better team than that. They do have more talent than that, which is probably why the money's coming in towards Atlanta, which the professional money's been on Atlanta a lot throughout the series, too. Cubs, 83% of tickets, only 72% of the cash. They're down from minus 152 to minus 148 on the money line. Money coming in on the under as well. Bringing the number down from 8.5 to 8.5, heavily juiced to the under. 67% of tickets on the over, 52% of the cash on the under. I see some arguments for the under here, and you want to check the weather report because the wind matters in Wrigley, but it seems to me if the total is not terribly high, it probably means the wind is not doing a whole lot in this game. I think it probably means it's not really blowing hard in or out today. I can see the argument for the under in this game, but you have to worry about Bryce Elder pitching for Atlanta. I mean, he's the big-time question mark here because he's not good. Atlanta only used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The Cubs have the better offense and the better bullpen. Cubs only used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Cubs get the bullpen edge and the hitting edge here, but their hitting is kind of it's been pretty lax over the last few weeks. So the Cubs have had some issues hitting recently, which might lend itself more towards an under in this type of game as well. Atlanta's bullpen isn't that bad either. Both bullpens are okay. If you look at the pitching stats, Cubs are at 11th in bullpen ERA, and Atlanta 19th. I mean, their bullpen's not great, but it might be decent enough to hold them in this game. But Bryce Elder is really the problem here. You got to figure out if you think he's actually going to pitch well in this game. There are some indicators that he might. I know his numbers stink. I always say he stinks on my show. I don't think he's good. 5.85 ERA, 1.48 whip. He pitches like an elder, man. So, I mean, that's the joke we all make. He is better on the road, though. So it's starting to look, wait a minute, maybe. 4.82 ERA on the road. So he is more serviceable on the road. His last 2 starts, strangely, were actually good against 2 good lineups in divisional matchups, Mets and Philadelphia. So does that mean he's pitching well right now and he might be stepping it up against good offenses? Maybe. I mean, that's pretty impressive. He gave up 2 and 1 earned run in each of those 2 starts. Went 6 innings, 7 innings in those 2 starts. Only gave up 6 hits over that span. Had a 9-4 strikeout walk ratio, which of course it's not that impressive, but he didn't walk that many guys there. Over the course of a month, 4.82 ERA, 26-12 strikeout walk ratio. That's not a good ratio still, but he at least was consistent in only walking 2 guys every outing. He's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but he did pitch well in those last 2 games against good offenses, man. His numbers actually are good against the Cubs for the most part. Small sample size, though, 24 at-bats. They do have 3 walks and only 1 strikeout, so that's not good for him. But 167 average and 634 OPS. So he's done fairly well against the Cubs. And then on the Cubs side, Cubs have the better starting pitcher, man, with Cade Horton, who is a young guy. I think this might be his rookie season, if I'm not mistaken. and he's having a good season. Yes, it is. 2.92 ERA, 1.19 whip. I don't know if he's starting to really even wear down. I mean, over the last month, the Cubs won 5 of his 6 starts. They've won 6 of his last 7 starts. He only gave up 4 earned runs over the entire month. He gave up 2 or fewer earned runs in every outing, 1 or 0 in every outing except the most recent one, which was at Coors Field. And he gave up a home run in that one, so you can kind of give him a pass for what he did there. 1.2 ERA over August, 31-9 strikeout walk ratio, and only 18 hits allowed in 30 innings. Horton has been on, man. Horton, not hearing a who, I guess, except that he didn't do very well against Milwaukee. Had kind of a short start there, threw too many pitches. Only gave up 1 earned run, but they kind of had to pull him because he was struggling, whatever the case was. The Braves are very unfamiliar with him. Only Fraley has hit against him before, and he's 0 for 2 against him. So Horton does have unfamiliarity here, and he is pitching well. JC, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Curtis had to go to a meeting. I don't know if Alex is still hanging around or not. Hopefully I'm not driving people away with my losses recently. I apologize, man. I know I'm putting my name behind it. Dude, I mean, again, yeah, I'm in a bad stretch right now. It's the way that it is. Basically every handicapper has to go through it, man, various points. I'm not saying I know everything, obviously. And you know the nature of the business is you're going to lose a lot of games. I mean, you have to win, like I said, like 53, 54% maybe to actually profit in this business when you're laying minus 110. So, yeah, I mean, I know I've been laying a little bit more than that on some of these baseball games because baseball is just a totally different type of handicap because it's a money line sport with alternate ways of looking at the games. But anyway, in this Cubs game, yeah, the money, like I said, is coming in on the under. I mean, I guess I would actually still lean that way. Surprisingly, because you have to try to dodge Elder in this game. As far as the Cubs are concerned, I mean, if you want to play on just the Horton hype and the fact that Horton's been good, you could look to Atlanta to go under their team total. Might be a good way to look at this with Horton plus the Cubs' solid bullpen here. That could be a potential way to look at this game as well. It looks like the money's just fading the Cubs, man, and maybe it's too much of a price to look at the Cubs' side in the game. White Sox at Minnesota. Ugly series. Minnesota, I believe, on the verge of getting swept unless one of these series had some teams that were playing tomorrow, though. That was this series. They actually play tomorrow, too, but it's been an ugly series for Minnesota so far, so they might want to get back at the White Sox and get a win here. I mean, these teams don't really have a whole lot to play for at this point, but it's a divisional matchup. They're playing for some divisional pride, I guess, not the gay kind. Both bullpens are not very good. Both offenses are not very good. Minnesota has the slightly better offense. I actually think the White Sox have the slightly better bullpen. Let me see. White Sox have a really bad offense, so they're third worst. Minnesota's is not great, though, although they're actually up at 18, so they're kind of a mid offense. So Minnesota's is actually somewhat significantly better. As far as the bullpens are concerned, again, neither of them are very good. I don't even know where Minnesota is at this point. There they are, 24th. Pretty bad. White Sox, mid now, bullpen-wise, but still, I don't really trust these bullpens. White Sox only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, though, after they had, I think, a bullpen game the game prior to that, for the most part, or something like that. They only used 2 relief pitchers, so their bullpen is a little bit more rested. They do have a bullpen edge. Minnesota only used 3. They did use Hatch as a long relief man yesterday. So the bullpens weren't really overworked yesterday, but still they're not trustworthy. Yendrys Gomez is pitching for the White Sox. He's a guy who's been, I think, on multiple different teams this year, and he's not that good. 5.2 ERA and 1.54 whip. His career numbers are kind of in line with that. He's been particularly bad on the road this year, 8.03 ERA. He was making bullpen appearances. He was on the Yankees, the Dodgers, and then he was on the White Sox. He's been on the White Sox since May, but he was either in the minors or he was injured, and they brought him back up in August. In August, he was okay with a 3.86 ERA. He was making starts, but 22-11 strikeout walk ratio was not very good, and he walked 9 guys over his last 2 outings in 9 2/3 innings. Didn't make it 5 innings in either one. One was against this Minnesota team. Even though he didn't allow any runs, he threw way too many pitches. It wasn't a good start for him. And walking 6 guys, I know it was against the Yankees. They're a good offense, but that's not good, man. That shows that you don't really have control. So I don't think Gomez is actually really that good. His ERA over the past month makes him look better than he actually is. His numbers against Minnesota are actually good, even though that start didn't look that good. The numbers are all right. 16 at-bats. Again, the 3 walks weren't very good, though. But he's only allowed 1 extra base hit to them, a double from Larnach. 6-3 strikeout walk ratio. 125 batting average allowed and 451 OPS allowed. So his numbers are actually fairly good against Minnesota, but I still don't trust him. And Minnesota just saw him, and that might have been, I think that was the first time basically that they saw him. So the first time when you face a pitcher, sometimes you just can't hit him because you're too unfamiliar with him. But now that they are familiar with him, they might be able to hit him better in this game. Andrew, what's up, man? Yes, tits. One of my favorite things, man. Everybody knows that. Zebby Matthews is pitching for Minnesota here. I mean, again, as far as these two pitchers are concerned, I think Matthews has more upside. I think he is actually a pretty solid pitcher. It just hasn't really come to fruition yet. I know his numbers are bad this year. 5.06 ERA, 1.48 whip. He is better at home, though. 4.07 ERA at home, so he has the advantage of the home road splits. He's been pitching. He's been back pitching in the majors since mid-July, basically. Month of August, he was okay with a 28-9 strikeout walk ratio, 4.26 ERA. Allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start, but that was a start against the White Sox. At the White Sox, he only lasted 4 2/3, got hit around, man. He gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That wasn't good. So Matthews, I mean, I think he actually doesn't have good numbers against the White Sox. That was a bad start. Whoops. Against the White Sox, yeah, 16 at-bats. It might have all been that 1 start. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 375 batting average allowed. Montgomery has a home run off him. 1,069 OPS. So Matthews doesn't do well against him. So all that being said, can't really trust either pitcher here. I do trust Matthews a little bit more than Gomez here. Yeah, I mean, I think this game is an over, in my opinion, even though it looks like the total flipped from 8.5 juice to the over to juice to the under. We see 90% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over. It is a very public over, surprisingly. I pointed out yesterday, I gave it a play on the over. That was the one winner I had yesterday. Yesterday, it seemed like the public kind of wanted the under because they know both of these teams can't hit. But I don't think the public is really playing a total in this series. Really, I don't think there's a lot of public action on the series at all. So, yeah, the over is public in this one. But, I mean, it looks like to me it could be an over. Again, in this one, we do have good matchup numbers on the side of Gomez, but I actually trust Matthews more. Minnesota up from -165 to -173, 82% of tickets on them, but 84% of the cash coming in on the White Sox. So money coming in on the White Sox. I mean, I think part of that is who's Minnesota to really be favored by this much against anybody, really? I think that's kind of the thing. Like, the line just looks too heavy of a price on a Minnesota team. Probably they don't deserve to be favored by that much. I would lean to Minnesota earlier in the game, probably first 5 innings, maybe run line, but White Sox full game might make more sense with their bullpen advantage that they might have here. Philadelphia at Milwaukee, one of the biggest games of the day. Milwaukee lost yesterday 10-8, or 2 days ago, excuse me. These teams were off yesterday, which was odd. That they had an off day on a Tuesday. Usually the off days are Mondays and Thursdays in baseball. So I don't know if there was a scheduling conflict. I don't know what was going on at Milwaukee Stadium or whatever. But they had yesterday off. So Milwaukee lost the first game of the series 2 days ago. After they had the lead early in the game, they blew it and lost 10-8. Both teams still fighting, man. Milwaukee wants to make sure they win the NL Central. They want to try to make sure they get the 1 seed. Philadelphia trying to wrap up the NL East and trying to play for their seeding as well. I think they can get a first-round bye in the playoffs as well. So these teams have something to play for, obviously. Milwaukee has the better of the 2 bullpens. Of course, the bullpens are rested. I don't even need to really look. I mean, the bullpens didn't get used yesterday. Philly's bullpen has struggled a bit this year. They're one of the bottom 3rd bullpens. Milwaukee is mediocre. They're actually back up in the top 10, like basically almost in the top 3rd again. Philly's had the better offense. Milwaukee's isn't too bad either. Both teams can hit. We know this. Philly is a top 10 offense. Milwaukee, where are they at now? Why don't I see Milwaukee? Where the hell are they? Oh, yeah, they're right there. Both of them are top 10 offenses. Milwaukee a little bit worse at home, though, interestingly. Starting pitching, Aaron Nola for Philadelphia. He's a lot better than his numbers look this year, man. He's had a really injury-plagued season, so at some point, I think we're going to see him return to his old form to some extent, although it's tough to gauge when a guy like him, I think he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. So sometimes when you're in your 30s, it's really hard to come back from that. And it hasn't really worked out for him yet. 6.47 ERA, 1.5 whip. Not good numbers this year. Pretty limited sample, though. He's slightly better on the road. 6.39 ERA. Not good. This month, his command numbers have been okay. 14-5 strikeout walk ratio. Philly won all 3 of his starts, but 7.53 ERA. That's not great. Did go 6 innings in each of his last 2 starts, but against Washington and Atlanta, still, he allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in both of them, but, I mean, yeah, you got to try to figure out what's going on with him here, man. I mean, he came back in August after having another injury. I think he came back from injury this season, was then injured again for a lot of this season and came back, so at least he's not wearing down towards the end of the season, but he's a veteran. He's used to pitching long into a major league season at this point. Some indicators maybe that he is kind of rounding back into form a little bit here. So he may at some point get better. He does have good career numbers against the Brewers, 109 at bats, really solid, 30-3 strikeout walk ratio, 229 average allowed, 608 OPS. Not quite ready to bank on him here, but there are arguments that he may actually be the better of these 2 pitchers here at this point. Jose Quintana having a good season for Milwaukee, although again, he's a guy that's kind of a junk pitcher. He's older than Nola as well. He does locate his pitches pretty well, but I mean, he's a guy that I think he's pretty hittable at times. He's got a 3.69 ERA, 1.29 whip now, so his whip is going up. He's been pretty bad at home this year, surprisingly. 5.05 ERA at home. Not as good this past month. 22-10 strikeout walk ratio, 4.18 ERA. Really bad last time out. Probably his worst start of the year. 6 earned runs allowed in 3 2/3, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts against Arizona. It's a good offense, Arizona, but is that going to be a blip? Because that was kind of an outlier on the season. That was his worst start of the season. Prior to that, he hadn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start over the entire month of August. So does that mean he's going to bounce back? Yeah, it might. I mean, I don't think he's going to be that bad again here, but Philly is a good offense. His numbers are pretty good against them, though, but they are very familiar with Quintana because I'm pretty sure he was on the Mets for a while, so he was in their division. They have 248 at-bats against him. 59-13 strikeout walk ratio is a pretty good ratio for Quintana. He has good numbers against them, 226 average, 619 OPS against him. So interestingly, both starting pitchers, man, I'm not sure that they're totally trustworthy here, but they do have good matchup numbers. If you think that you're going to get, some good version of both these starting pitchers here. The money seems to be coming in on Milwaukee a bit. They're down from -115 to -109, 64% of tickets, 78% of the cash coming in on them. Thinking maybe they'll bounce back after they blew that first game. Seems like there's not a whole lot of trust in Nola right now. And the money seems to be coming in towards the under a little bit. Total drop from 9.5 juiced to the over down to the 9. If you go under, probably want to go under the 9 here. I mean, I wouldn't really disagree with an under. I think you do have 2 pitchers that could potentially do well here. They have decent matchup numbers. You have rested bullpens, although I don't know how much you trust Philly's bullpen. Seems a little bit dangerous to me, but the public is probably only going to be on an over here. We have 83% of the public, the tickets on the over. Don't really know where the money's coming yet on that total, though the percentage is obviously not 100%. So, like the number says there, so we'll see. But that's a game that I really don't have a good read on at all, man. I think if you get the best out of both of these pitchers, I think Nola is the better of these 2 pitchers. I hate this fucking emergency broadcast message, man. Like, seriously, get fucked. It freaks me out, man, because you just hear this thing and you can't get rid of it. God, I hate it. A's are at St. Louis, and of course, I leaned to the under yesterday. Of course, what happened? The under happened. Severino pitched well on the road again, and then we had whatever happened with St. Louis. I forget who their pitcher was yesterday, but they did well again. Whoever their pitcher was did well, unfortunately. So, I mean, at least I was right. Oh, it was Mikolas, yeah. He's not good, but yeah, I mean, he had a good matchup for him there. So I said I leaned to the under in that game, and unfortunately, I didn't give it out as a play, and it was an easy under in that game yesterday. A's bullpen, not exactly trustworthy, although they've been better recently. They're pretty well rested right now, at least. St. Louis's bullpen is the better bullpen. They're pretty rested as well. The A's have the better offense of the 2. St. Louis's offense has been really struggling. Unfortunately, I gave out the under in the first game of this series. I think in the first 5 it was, maybe, I forget. And it was just awful. It was terrible. This matchup, interesting pitching matchup here as well. Jeffrey Springs pitching for the A's. He's having a pretty good season, especially considering that he pitches in that ridiculous Sacramento ballpark. It's very hitter-friendly. He's got a 4.17 ERA, 1.19 whip. Not bad. He's better on the road away from that stadium. 3.66 ERA on the road. He's been okay over the past month. Not great. 20-8 strikeout walk ratio. The A's did lose 4 of his 5 starts, though. 5.04 ERA. Mediocre. Did have, let me see, his better starts came on the road, though. His 2 road starts all over the month. He only gave up 1 earned run apiece in each of them. So, again, he's better outside of that bad Sacramento stadium. Very small sample size, 10 at-bats against St. Louis, although Scott has a home run off him. They have 3-2 strikeout walk ratio, 400 batting average, 1,300 OPS. So Springs has bad numbers against him, but I don't know how much you can really draw from that because it's such a small sample size. Matthew Liberatore is pitching for St. Louis. Mediocre stuff from him this year. 4.32 ERA, 1.32 whip. He's actually worse at home. 4.55 ERA at home. Over the past month, not very good. 5.4 ERA in August. 19-10 strikeout walk ratio. Failed to go 5 innings in all but 2 of those starts. So he's not exactly pitching very well right now. Up against the A's, his numbers are bad, although it's a small sample size. Again, 11 at-bats, 1 strikeout, no walks, 455 average, 1,000 OPS. I'm not ready to really trust Liberatore here. And this is a game I don't really trust going under in this game. The money line flipped on the A's from plus 100 to minus 106, but they have 81% of tickets, only 75% of the cash. So interestingly, the public is actually coming in on the A's in this game a bit, and it looks like the money is kind of fading them a little bit in this game. But I think I would trust Springs more than Liberatore. He's in the better home road split here. He has the advantage of the split, and he's got the better recent numbers. So I think first 5 innings A's might be the way to look in this game, in my opinion. I don't really want anything to do with their bullpen, though. And the money does seem to be coming in on the over, even though it's 94% of the cash, or 94% of tickets, 99% of the cash. Very public over here, but it's crept up to 8.5, heavily juiced to the over. It might hit 9. I wouldn't really disagree with the over. I mean, I could see potentially both starting pitchers winding up giving up some runs there, and then the bullpens being meh in that. But I think probably I prefer A's in the first 5 innings there, surprisingly. Yankees at Houston. Like I said, Houston, of course, the schedule makers gave Houston a bad spot yesterday where Houston had to play the day before that and the Yankees didn't. So, of course, Houston lost. This is a big series for both teams. Of course, the A's and St. Louis, by the way, they're both out of it. So there's nothing really to play for either team there. Although the A's kind of seem to me like the more motivated team down the stretch. Just a bunch of young guys trying to play out the stretch there, having some fun. Yankees, Houston, obviously this is a big game, and you're playing for playoff seeding. You're trying to make the playoffs even to begin with, and trying to hold on to what you have. Yesterday, some frustrations came in. Framber Valdez, this guy is a head case, man. If you didn't see what happened yesterday, he gave up a grand slam, and then he lost his mind, and he threw a pitch after that, which was it was almost a wild pitch. It wasn't technically a wild pitch, but it was way outside off the plate. It was some hard moving fastball, like off the plate. And then the next pitch after that, it looked like he intentionally crossed up the catcher, where it looked like the catcher called curveball. He said, yeah. So catcher thinks he's going to throw a curveball, and he throws a fastball on the inside corner that it looked like it was supposed to be a curveball away. So the catcher was set up. Catcher, is a right-handed thrower. So the catcher was set. If you don't get what I'm saying, the catcher was set with his glove, like this. If you can see what I'm doing, like low and away down towards the outside. So he's thinking it's going to be a curveball down here. And instead he gets high heat on the inside, so he can't move fast enough, and hit him right in the elbow. And I think, and he looked like he was pissed. And I think Valdez did that intentionally, man, to his own teammate. Like, what the fuck? It was like he was mad at the catcher for calling certain pitches or something that led to the grand slam. I don't know what was going on, man. Valdez, kind of an asshole. I don't know what was going on there. You can go find the clip of it. It's all over Twitter and stuff. Really, really ridiculous. But we don't have to worry about Valdez pitching in this game. The Yankees do still have the worst of the two bullpens here. The Yankees have the better offense of the two here. Yankees really, really rested bullpen, though. Only used Paul Blackburn over the last 2 days. Blackburn I didn't even realize he was on the Yankees, to be honest. He's a journeyman pitcher. He's been in and out of starting rotations for a while. He's kind of a long relief innings eater, junk pitcher type of guy. He's not a great pitcher. But basically all the rest of the Yankees relievers are available here. I mean, they are. Houston used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, so Houston's bullpen rest scenario isn't good, which kind of negates the bullpen advantage that Houston would normally have a little bit here. As far as the starting pitching, Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees. Mediocre season for him. I think it's his rookie season. He's shown some decent strikeout stuff, but he has struggled on the road. He struggled with wildness at times. He has a 4.3 ERA. 1.4 whip is definitely too high. Like I said, he's not very good on the road. 5.58 ERA on the road. Over the past month, good ERA. 2.84 ERA in August, but he failed to go 5 innings in 2 of his last 3 starts. 21-9 strikeout walk ratio isn't exactly good over the month, so I think he was kind of getting a little bit lucky in some cases over that past month. Did better against some of the bad offenses that he faced: Texas, Minnesota, White Sox. Even in that, well, the fielding kind of like just failed behind him, but even in that, he did walk multiple guys. So I'm not ready to say that Warren is exactly good, but Houston has basically never seen him before. Only Urias has ever seen him before, or Urias, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's 0 for 4 off him with a strikeout, but Warren at least does have a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge against Houston here. George Costanza, awesome, man. George Costanza pitching for Houston against the Yankees. How amazing is that, man? It's so much of Seinfeld going on here, because you remember George when he was working for the Yankees in Seinfeld, and he started having all those meetings with the Houston Astros guys that were, those crude Texan guys, you son of a bitch, and he started, swearing with them or whatever. It's hilarious, man. Totally hilarious. Jason Alexander is pitching for the Astros here. His stats on the season don't look good. 4.61 ERA, 1.37 whip. He's been worse at home, 5.4 ERA, but some of that was that he was pitching with the A's. So he was pitching in that bad A's stadium for a while. So he's actually been better since being acquired by Houston. And this month, he's actually pretty much found his groove. Houston's won 6 straight starts of his 5 this month, including a 6-inning shutout against the Yankees. Oh, man. 26-6 strikeout walk ratio this month, 2.17 ERA over the past month, I should say. So he's actually the pitcher that's in the better form right now. He's pitching well, although the Yankees did see him. So now that he pitched well against them once, that unfamiliarity edge that he might have had is a little bit gone now. I still don't know if we can really trust that what he's doing over this past month is really what he is, because, does a guy who's 32 all of a sudden just become like a lights-out pitcher? No, not really. Yankees do have 26 at-bats against him. A lot of this was that previous start. 3-5 strikeout walk ratio is not good for him, but he's held him to a 115 average at 527 OPS. It is possible he does well again, man. And Will Warren, though, he did not face Houston during that series, by the way. So Warren does have an unfamiliarity edge. The Yankees are a huge favorite, or fairly sizable favorite. That's going to be the case with a no-name pitcher like Alexander on the mound. Yankees are a heavier favorite than they were yesterday. Interestingly, because they had Max Fried on the mound yesterday. Yankees are up, but it was against Framber Valdez, who's also pretty good, albeit an asshole, and he wasn't good yesterday. Yankees up from minus 105 to minus 123, 75% of tickets, only 60% of the cash. So the money seems to actually be fading a public road favorite Yankees team here. So I might agree slightly into Houston here. You could argue maybe going first 5 innings to avoid the fact that Houston's bullpen is not rested, but Yankees bullpen not exactly good either. Money also appears to be coming in on the over, with the total juiced less on the 9, juiced to the under. 70% of tickets, 97% of cash on the over. I can see the arguments for that too. It's kind of like you get 2 untrustworthy pitchers. The bullpens could fail in this game potentially. So those are some ways to look at that game there. Just for my rooting interest, I hope the Yankees lose, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And then San Francisco, Colorado. Colorado's just playing out the stretch, but it's probably a game that Colorado will try to win. We've seen some heat in this series, man. I think there was a brawl either yesterday or the day before that, so Colorado is showing up with motivation, at least in this game. It's a divisional series. San Francisco's been hot recently, but they still pretty much know they're not going to make the playoffs, I think, even though I think they're still maybe trying to fight to make the playoffs. They're above 500 again. Colorado, this is the type of game they will be focused on, though. They did just take their 100th loss on the season, which is real ugly. I think they're going to be pissed off about that. Colorado's the only team that's eliminated from the playoffs mathematically, but you have one of your division rivals that you hate right now coming in to your house, and you're on the verge of potentially getting swept by them. I think you're going to show up for that series. San Francisco, I don't know what they have up next. Let me see. San Francisco has St. Louis up next, which is not exactly a big series, but still, you're on the verge of sweeping them. Even though Colorado fought you, you still might not totally show up for a series that you're on the verge of sweeping. But we know San Francisco has the better bullpen. They might actually have the better offense, too. That's just how bad Colorado's offense is. Yes, two bad offenses. San Francisco's is slightly better. San Francisco has a huge bullpen edge, though, and they only used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Colorado used 4, and they used them fairly extensively, so there is definitely a bullpen edge for San Francisco here. They do have the better starter on the mound, too, with Robbie Ray, having a good season. 3.18 ERA, 1.16 whip. He's actually slightly better on the road, too, 3.02 ERA. He's going to have to pitch at Coors Field, but I think he did once this year. Yeah, he did. He actually didn't do well when he pitched at Coors Field earlier this year, so he didn't really adapt that well to the environment. Threw way too many pitches, only lasted 4 innings. The fielding was bad behind him. He only gave up 2 earned runs and 2 unearned runs, but gave up 6 hits, 2 walks, had 5 strikeouts. It was not a great start for him, and he's going to have to do it again here, man. San Francisco's been good behind him recently. They've won 5 of his last 6 starts, all in August. But he had a 4.11 ERA and a 29-12 strikeout walk ratio, so he wasn't exactly at his best in the month of August. He was mediocre, a little bit worse than he has been on the season. Colorado does hit him pretty well in 38 at-bats, 13-8 strikeout walk ratio, 289 average, 781 OPS. So Ray very well could struggle in this game. And he's going up against German Marquez, who just rejoined the Colorado rotation. His numbers are not good, obviously. 6.14 ERA, 1.69 whip this season. Worse at home. Coors Field, not very easy for any pitcher to pitch in, really. 6.36 ERA at home. He was injured for about a month, and he came back and didn't do well against the Cubs in Coors Field. The Cubs lit him up. Cubs are a good offense, although they hadn't been doing well around that time. Which was last week. He gave up 8 earned runs in that game in 4 1/3, 3 walks, no strikeouts. So Marquez is not in good form right now. Giants are pretty familiar with him, 59 at-bats. He does have a 15-2 strikeout walk ratio against them, which is pretty good. But he's allowed 5 home runs to them. A 254 average isn't bad, but an 821 OPS is pretty bad. So Marquez, his numbers aren't that good here either. I think this game looks like an over. You got to go over like a high total, though. You got to worry about San Francisco's bullpen. But if both starters struggle, you're going to get some of the worst relief pitchers in the game potentially. San Francisco's actually dropped quite a bit on the money line, down from -220 to -196, 76% of tickets, only 65% of the cash on them. So the money kind of coming in against them. 79% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the over, though. So I think the better way to look at this is the over. Like I said, it's already gone up from 10.5 juice to the over to 11 juice to the over. If you want to go over, you got to try to get it over 11, man, because all these odd numbers are key. It breaks the 5-5 tie. I don't disagree with that. I do think that's the best way to play that game. Let's get to the best bet here. I hope it's a winner, and then I'll leave you be. Only one play today. I don't like this board today, man. And it is going to be the Toronto Blue Jays, a half a run on the run line in the first 5. You do have to lay a little bit of a price for this because they're a pretty heavy favorite, -118. But I'm isolating where I think Toronto has the best edge in this game, and I don't think that it's with the bullpens here. I think it's with the starting pitching. So I'm going with Toronto. And, of course, it's Shane Bieber. So, I think I've put money on him in some fashion in every game that he's pitched so far. And I think one of them I got totally screwed with an under that I think got blown up by the bullpens late in the game after Bieber did well. And I think one of them I did win on like a Toronto run line or something with Bieber pitching the Biebs. This is a big game for both teams. I get it. Toronto's trying to hang on to their division. Cincinnati's trying to fight to claw their way back through the wild card race here. These teams have split the first 2 games of the series as well. But Toronto, in a way, they are still the better team here. They have the better starting pitcher on the mound. They don't have the better bullpen right now, even though they've probably been the better bullpen at some points during the season. Neither bullpen is that trustworthy. Toronto's is actually worse than Cincinnati's now in the season. Toronto does have the better offense. That's one of their bigger advantages here. They're actually second in OPS, so that's pretty solid. I mean, you knew at some point their offensive talent was going to do something. I mean, last year, their offense really underperformed. Cincinnati, mediocre offense. They're in the middle of the pack offensively. So Toronto has a pretty big offensive edge as well. Their bullpen's been struggling, and I want to keep their bullpen out of it. Toronto used a lot of their bullpen yesterday, too. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Not a whole lot left for their bullpen right now. Very heavy bullpen usage. So we'll avoid that part of it. Cincinnati, fairly heavy on their part as well, though. So the bullpen situation is kind of bad for both teams. But we're just going to look at the starting pitching here. We got Shane Bieber pitching, like I said, for Toronto. He had Tommy John surgery, I think, and missed all of last year. He was really good when he was on Cleveland, and he's pretty much picked up right where he left off. He's basically like Brandon Woodruff. Both guys had Tommy John right around the same age, had really good early parts to their careers. Came back and started pitching really well again. Bieber's got a 2.38 ERA and .62 whip. Really low whip. I mean, I know he can't really sustain that, but still, that's really good. 1.5 ERA on the road so far. I know this is a different environment. He's only made 2 starts so far. Like I said, his 1 road start was dominant against Miami. But even so, I mean, Cincinnati is a hitter-friendly ballpark, so he's going to have to pitch there. I think he is used to pitching there, though, because Cincinnati is the in-state rival with Cleveland, so I'm sure he's pitched there. I haven't looked at how he actually has pitched in this stadium before. I suppose maybe we should. It's not going to change my mind on this play, but let's see. Last year, he actually made a couple starts before he went injured. Let's see. He dominated Cincinnati at home in 2023, but I want to see his road starts against Cincinnati. I guess he didn't have one. Let me see. Unfortunately, ESPN does not let you look at everything as a whole. It only lets you look at. So he was at Cincinnati. He gave up 3 earned runs in 1 start against them in 5 1/3 way back in April 2022. Not a whole lot to really take away from that. He pitched 8 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, and had 13 strikeouts in April of 2021 against them. So he had quite a good start in that one. 7 2/3, gave up 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. So he has actually pitched pretty well in this ballpark. That was in August in 2020. He pitched there. And then, let's see. Because, again, they face each other every year. He had an 8-inning, 2-run performance with 8 strikeouts, no walks in July of 2020 against them. So, again, basically every one of his starts except the most recent one at Cincinnati has been quite good with a really high strikeout rate, except his first one. But you can give him a pass for his first time not doing well against him when he was the Cincinnati Virgin, the Great American Ballpark Virgin. He went 4 1/3, gave up 3 earned runs. 2019, I think, is when this was, in August. 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. 2018, excuse me. So the previous start that I mentioned was 2019. But yeah, generally, besides his first start, he's been really good, except his last start that he made at Cincinnati was mediocre. But I like Bieber here, man, for all those reasons. And then also, again, this year he hasn't even walked anybody yet. He's a 15-0 strikeout walk ratio in 11 1/3 innings, allowing 7 hits, 2 earned runs. He has allowed 2 home runs, so he's got to keep that in check, especially in this stadium. But he's been really, really good. His command has been right on. His numbers against Cincinnati are pretty good in 30 at-bats. They only have 1 extra base hit. Gavin Lux with a double. 9-2 strikeout walk ratio. 267 average allowed. 613 OPS. So he's got good numbers here. He's going up against Zach Littell, who is more familiar to Toronto because he was with Tampa Bay up until this year. Littell's a guy, he puts up some pretty solid numbers, including his whip and his strikeout walk ratio, but he's also a guy that's fairly hittable, man. I think he's a guy who isn't as good as his numbers look, usually. 3.63 ERA and 1.12 whip. That's good on the season. He's good at home, 3.25 ERA, which is surprising because Tampa Bay, their home stadium's difficult to pitch in, and so is Cincinnati. Since he's been with Cincinnati, he's been decent. 3.9 ERA, 21-6 strikeout walk ratio. He's made 2 starts here, and they're both fairly decent. 6 innings against Milwaukee. That's a good sign. But his most recent start wasn't quite as good against St. Louis. Did last 7 innings. So, yeah, I'm not saying he's in bad form here. He's not. Neither pitcher is, obviously. But Bieber is still in the better form over Littell here. And Littell, his numbers against the Blue Jays are not good. So this is kind of the crux here where we have the matchup numbers indicate on Bieber in this one here. He is already the better pitcher, but 82 at-bats for Littell against Toronto. They have a lot of familiarity with him, and they've done a lot of damage to him. 9-5 strikeout walk ratio, 317 batting average allowed, and 893 OPS. So he has not done well against Toronto. And has he pitched against them this year? He has. He did okay at Toronto, went 7 1/3, 3 earned runs allowed. That was a decent start for him, but that does mean Toronto has seen him this year, and Cincinnati has not seen Bieber this year, so there's more familiarity there. So we are going to go with Toronto in the first 5 innings in this one. Toronto moved way up on the money line, man. I understand the cash seems to be coming in against them now, which is on the full game, but they moved up from -135 to -156. I don't really think that's a false move when the money line moves like that all the way up to that degree. Although we do see 65% of tickets, 55% of the cash on Toronto, so they're a public road favorite, which I don't love. Money coming in somewhat towards the under as well, even though it moved up on the juice to the 8.5 on the over, but 86% of tickets, 79% of the cash on the over, so the over is public as well. Even though Toronto's a public road favorite, this is just the first 5 inning play. I think that's where we get the matchup edge here. The money line, again, did move quite far on them, and that's not going to happen with just the public coming in on them. So the professional money did that. It's just a matter of, was that a setup just to get a better underdog price at Cincinnati? Or I think more likely what we have here is we have professionals disagreeing with each other. I think we have some professionals that came in and pounded the line up on Toronto, and then we have other professionals that disagree and are taking the what they think is value on the Cincinnati underdog. So I think there's a difference of opinion on this game, would be my opinion, because sometimes there's not a professional side, you know what I mean? The professionals will disagree with each other, right? But you want to kind of find where's the majority of the professional money at, like where do more of the professionals line up, you know what I mean? But that's going to do it. That's the only play. So I don't really have to recap that. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram. You can check me out there. Short form content there. Better Off Dead. Like and subscribe to the channel, man, on YouTube. Give me reviews on audio, Spotify, Apple, whatever. All the things. And then Covered in Uke is my ukulele project on YouTube. You can check that out. And patreon.com/LearnToToad. You can give me some support there. It's mostly bonus uke content right now. You get Spotify feed with the uke stuff, and you get prioritized requests at the highest level. That's going to do it. Hopefully my voice starts getting a bit better, and have a good Wednesday, man. Hump day. Peace out for now, guys. Thanks for hanging out this morning.